Hello and welcome to Missed Checkpoints, the Video Game Book Club podcast. Today we're discussing Titanfall 2. I'm your host Marcus, and joining me today as always are the homies. First up we have Trevor.
What's going on?
Next we got Greg. And then we have a guest, Trevor 2.
What's going on?
Appreciate you coming on again for an episode.
Yeah, I know the fans, they wanted me again, so here I am.
I will, right. I will try to refer to you as T as in order to not, unless you guys want to just switch off, and I'll just say Trevor, and you guys just switch off. How fast and loose do we want to be?
I mean, T's fine with me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about Titanfall 2. This is my game for the month of April, so I will kick us off. Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts in October 2016, and is the sequel to 2014's Titanfall, which was a Microsoft exclusive title. Titanfall 1 was essentially a multiplayer-only game. Respawn knew most people only played multiplayer, or at least played it significantly longer than they would play any campaign, to the point where most people don't even complete the campaign in most AAA multiplayer games. So they decided to put all the resources into making a killer multiplayer game, and when they finished, they created a pseudo-campaign that existed in the multiplayer environment. When development cycle for Titanfall 2 started later that year, the team decided to add a single-player campaign to expand the game's player base. They came up with different ideas and prototypes and integrated them to form a single coherent campaign, taking narrative and campaign influences from various media, including buddy cop films, some anime called Gargantua on the Virtuous planet, as well as Half-Life. The story follows Jack Cooper, a lowly rifleman from the Frontier Militia, sent to the alien planet of Typhon as part of an assault on the planet by the militia. Upon the death of his mentor, Captain Lastimosa, he joins forces with his mentor's Titan to fight local alien creatures, human and robotic enemies, as they embark on a quest to stop the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, or IMC, from launching a superweapon that is threatening to destroy the militia planet Harmony. Upon its release, the game received critical acclaim. The single player was praised for its design and execution, and the multiplayer modes were praised for building on the foundation of the original game. Despite the positive reception, Titanfall 2 underperformed commercially, with most people attributing its underwhelming performance due to being released in a crowded multiplayer window between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Shortly after its release, one of the co-founders of Respawn, Vince Zampella, stated that the team would like to deliver more experiences from the player set within the franchise, though a trilogy was not planned. The following year, 2017, Respawn was acquired by EA. It was revealed that a new mainline Titanfall title was in development. Then, early February 2019, a Battle Royale spin-off game called Apex Legends, which takes place in the same universe, was released. And then the day after its release, Zampella tweeted about working on more Titanfall, though official reveal has yet to surface. So that is Titanfall 2. Have any of you guys, I'll start with you, Trevor. Have you played Titanfall, the original Titanfall?
Oh, yeah. Titanfall was like my game before the first Destiny game came out. Like, I had gotten into the beta for the first Titanfall. I played it then, fell in love with it, and then I got it for Christmas. I think I got it, somebody pre-ordered it for me for Christmas. And that was like my game because I was in grad school at the time, so I was living by myself, had nothing else to do. So as soon as I got home, load up Titanfall, just play it until I fall asleep. But yeah, that was my game. And then I honestly didn't get into Titanfall 2 until like late after the game had been released, and it was only because I had heard the campaign was really good.
Mm-hmm. So why were you not drawn to the second game if you were so heavy in the first game?
Because at the time Destiny it came out, and I can't remember if was Destiny 2 out at that time.
The game came out the late 2016, so I think so. I think Destiny 2 was 2016.
Okay, that may have been why. Just wasn't on my radar.
Okay, what about you, Greg? Did you play the original Titanfall?
Yeah, I think it was maybe like I got my Xbox One maybe like a year and a half after it had originally come out, so I checked it out then. But maybe only played like, I don't know, maybe like 50, 60 hours of it, but I liked it, just for whatever reason didn't stick with it.
Gotcha. And I just looked it up. Destiny 2 was 2017, so yeah. And what about you, T? Did you play the original Titanfall?
I didn't play the first Titanfall. I don't think I really had any interest at all in the game. Not even the second one. I'm pretty sure I was heavily invested into Destiny. I think that was like the only game I was playing at the time. Maybe Destiny.
Definitely H1Z1.
But Destiny was a priority for sure.
Gotcha. And yeah, I was still super heavy into fighting games, so I didn't play Titanfall. My roommate had Titanfall, and I remember like maybe watching him play for 5 minutes, the multiplayer. But no, I was too heavy into fighting games, so this game.
What all shooters have y'all played? Like first-person shooters?
Ever?
Like, well, before Titanfall came out.
I mean, obviously Halo. This is like, I think at this point, like I pretty much played Halo late 2000s almost solely. Halo and like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 and 2. And then I don't think I really played any other shooters besides Borderlands. I think those were like the three. It was Halo, Borderlands, and Call of Duty. And like once I got into fighting games, it was like no other genres existed, at least for me. What about you guys?
Yeah, so Halo. I think the last Call of Duty I had played was Modern Warfare 3, and then H1Z1. I think those were the only shooting games that I played. Besides Destiny.
Man, before that, it's been too many. I guess Halo. I pretty much played all the Call of Duties every time those came out. There was like a time where I was like big into Rainbow Six Vegas. I played a lot of that. I guess that's like the main ones. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some stuff, but pretty much whatever the popular shooters were at the time, I was pretty much playing those.
Oh, Portal. I forgot Portal. First person.
That FPS.
Did none of you guys was Battlefield FPS? I never played Battlefield. I was always a Call of Duty person.
And I played a little bit of those, but I wouldn't say like I was like super big on them. But
yeah, no, not for sure. It was okay. I think that was when Call of Duty was at that time before Destiny. I think Call of Duty was more popular than Battlefield.
What about you, Trevor? Besides obviously Destiny. You
So,
play Borderlands a lot too, I feel like.
Yeah, played a lot of Borderlands. I guess you could count Left 4 Dead as a first-person shooter.
I mean, technically, yeah, I played that a lot.
TF2.
I didn't play that much.
I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2. Like, that was probably the only Call of Duty game I played.
Nobody played Far Cry? Was in the Far Cry?
yeah, I played. I didn't play much of the first one, but I played a lot of 2 and 3.
I forgot to put respect on. I've been playing like over the past since it came out. I used to play a ton of Overwatch, so include that for me. I played a ton of Overwatch.
I thought we were talking about FPSs since before Destiny.
I thought he was saying since before Titanfall.
Before Titanfall.
Before Titanfall.
Because from what I could remember, and I hope this isn't getting too far into the discussion. I don't know how you wanted to kick it off, Marcus.
Anyway, I don't have a preference.
But I remember when Titanfall first came out, it kind of...
The first game.
Yeah, the first game.
Okay.
It kind of changed the game for first-person shooters. Like, Titanfall was really fast-paced, and I don't know if there were any other first-person shooters at that time that were as fast-paced as Titanfall. Halo was a little bit more fast-paced. Like, whereas, like, with Call of Duty and Battlefield, you're basically... running along the ground, kind of like at a normal pace, whereas with
I would argue on that one, because that was part of the reason why I stopped playing Call of Duty, is because they had it was Advanced Warfare is when they introduced like running on walls and stuff.
And I think that came out after Titanfall. That's what I mean by Titanfall kind of changed the game for a lot of first-person shooters.
You talking about like as far as like verticality and like movement and stuff like that, right? Yeah, yeah. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I remember even going back to playing Borderlands after playing Titanfall, and it just felt like I was running in sand or something. I had sandbags on my feet.
I mean, technically, Mirror's Edge had guns in it, and they were running on walls in there. But
I mean, you're not wrong. So wait, what was the one? Was it Advanced Warfare with the running on walls?
That was the first Call of Duty, I believe, where they introduced running on walls.
Because that came out the same year. Granted, obviously they couldn't have taken anything from each other because they came out so recently, or so soon after each other. Sunset Overdrive came out that year, and that was a very fast-paced game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was third person, I guess, but
that was on rails, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
And it was also the same people who made I'm drawing a blank. Can't think of the name. Big developer. This was their first game on Xbox because I think they were primarily
It's exclusive to
Insomniac.
Xbox.
Was it Insomniac?
No, it's Xbox Game Studios.
No,
you're right. It is Insomniac.
So it wasn't necessarily outside of their realm to make that kind of game. But
you know what, Trevor? I didn't even think about that though. Yeah, you're right. I didn't play the first game, and I honestly, and this is out of ignorance and because I never watched the game, but when I heard about the game, I always thought it was going to be more like a Mech Assault game or like an Armored Core. When I heard Titanfall and I knew it was like, oh, there's pilots and there's Titans, to me, I thought it was, and this was also why, like, it never, the premise never drew my attention. And then on top of that, it was multiplayer only. So I was like not checking for it at all. So all this time, I always thought this game was you are weak you are weak as a pilot, and you're trying to get into the Titan. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And so like I thought this game was more of like a tactical game, to be honest, which is really crazy to think about. Like especially after that.
Far from what it is.
Exactly.
With a lot of mech games, I think that's usually the case.
Yeah, and that's why like this game never really appealed to me. And then at least with the first game, like I said, like it was multiplayer only, and I didn't have an Xbox One. I don't have an Xbox One, so I was like, I'm not going to be able to play this game, and that was another thing for me too with the first game, why I never got into it, because I had a 360, but then I transitioned over to PS4, and so like anything that was exclusive, it's just like I'm not gonna be able to play,
I didn't actually realize the first one was.
Well, I think it eventually came out on PC.
Yeah,
because of Microsoft.
Yeah, but it never came out on PlayStation or on Sony consoles.
I did. Part of the reason why I wasn't super hype on playing Titanfall 2 was because I thought it was going to be way more mech based, like you guys were mentioning. But
right.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of fire.
Okay, let's get into it. All right, so I kind of laid out the story. The story is the story, like stuff happens. The fate of the world is at stake. You're trying to save some people die. It is what it is.
There's some futuristic technology to kind of place the Titans in the setting.
Yeah, but like the game kind of starts off and you're like, oh, you know your place. You're called a rifleman, and it's like you see these people are revered because they're called pilots or whatever. And then you get to do like the classic like FPS, because this makes me think of Halo 1, where it's like, look at the lights. Is that good for you, or do I need to invert your controller? And like you do that, and then you get to do like the little training facility which is kind of like I think they do that in Call of Duty. At least they did that in the first Modern Warfare, where they kind of acclimate you to the controls. So, like in this game, you get to play around with maybe 4 or 5 of the different weapons. You get to do some of the wall running, the shooting, the sliding, all that, and you get to kind of see how fast-paced this game can be. What did you guys think about that opening tutorial?
It definitely caught me off guard. That's where I was like, okay, this game's probably about to be way more fun than I'm expecting, because I liked how fast-paced it was. One thing I also know, I knew EA made Apex Legends in this game. I didn't realize that like a lot of the guns were going to be the exact same. So a lot of the guns in Apex Legends are exactly from this game, like the Spitfire. They had the Crable sniper rifle. But so that threw me for a loop, because I was like, these guns look super familiar when I first picked them up. But some of the names were a little bit changed. But I really enjoyed the beginning part where you're running across the walls, and I tried it a couple times because I was fascinated with hopping from wall to wall, and like I kind of felt OP because you can literally just stay off the ground for so long. And it's fun. It's just parkour.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed
really
it.
I think it's set like a good tone for like the game. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it didn't have much surprise factor, because I played a little bit of this before the podcast, or before we did it for the podcast. But yeah, I mean it's super like intuitive how you do the wall running. You know, it's like it doesn't feel cumbersome at all. You know, just really fluid. But yeah, I liked it.
Trevor?
Yeah, from what I remember, it felt different than the first game, and I don't know if it was because it felt a little bit more fluid than the first one. Like the first one, you could only it almost seemed like you could only run across flat walls, or not necessarily. Flat walls.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, it immediately introduces you to like curved walls and more organic shapes that you could run across and clamber over. So yeah, I can't remember playing the first one because it was so long ago, but this one definitely feels natural. It's like you don't have to try too hard to do certain things. Like it's almost like the wall is magnetic.
But you can fall off of it too if you're running on it too long. Yeah, I don't know, like the speed of this game, like I really wasn't expecting it, and this was like the speed of this game reminded me of when we played Doom. You know, where it was just like almost like I gotta keep moving, I gotta stay moving, and it's not necessarily the same, because I don't think that like the encounters that you have in this game are the same as they are in Doom, but just the constant need to be like active. I really appreciated that, and it was super fast paced. You could kind of choose when you wanted to turn it up by wall running and stuff like that.
What's funny is this is kind of the only level that really rewards you for like speed running it. I don't think there's like you can speed run other levels in the campaign, but this one is there's no instant gratification for doing things like doing combos and stuff like that. In the other levels they're a little bit more structured, so it's not like you're doing puzzles also, where in this one it's like just straight up like focusing on getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible. I gotcha. That makes sense. Basically you do that. There's a attack or whatever, and the Titans have to drop in on this planet, and I don't remember what happens, but you drop in with the person that's your mentor, Captain Lastimosa. He saves you a couple times. You guys are getting attacked, and then he ends up I think dying, and then you
He gets bodied.
Wait. Do you drop on the thing and you start fighting and then he gets bodied?
You drop in and then you're with like other foot soldiers.
Yeah, that's right.
And then guys are going through killing some bad guys, and then enemy Titans come. He gets basically ganked destroyed, killed, and then you're knocked out, and you wake up later. And then he's not like dead yet, but
it's not looking too good.
Yeah, and then you wake up and you're about to get attacked by
some alien creatures,
giant lizard dinosaur things, and then he saves you with his last dying breath.
Yeah. The thing I want to say that was very confusing when I landed on the island, or the first level, was I had no idea what the bad guys even looked like. So I was just running, and I was getting shot, and I'm like, I didn't realize that, because I was thinking they were going to be aliens that I was shooting at, or I was thinking it was going to be, like, robots. But then it was, like, these human dudes shooting at me. I'm like, wait, what? What did I do? And then I realized, oh, we're fighting humans on this alien planet. And that threw me off.
And I want to say that's one thing that changed between Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2, is that the IMC, like, since there's no campaign in the first one, like, the multiplayer, there's a pseudo campaign that you play.
Yep.
And you basically, like, they pit the IMC and the militia against each other. And in that one, I want to say they do look a lot more similar. Whereas in this one, they tried to change it a little bit to make one look more like a futuristic military group, and the other one looked more like a rebel
mercenary
group. Yeah.
But yeah, like when I landed, I was just like, these people are shooting at me. I thought we were all on the same team, because I was thinking we were fighting aliens. And so that threw me off. But then Elastomos saves you, and then his Titan verifies you as being a potential pilot or whatever, but now you have to acquire some batteries because its battery is dead or like really low. And then so you're like stranded in this jungle environment. There's those freaky like alien creatures that are attacking you, but then you're also behind enemy territory, and there's the IMC fighters as well that are trying to stop you, and that's when you kind of get a feel for the game. And what do you guys think about this level?
So I think those creatures reminded me of this poison spitter from Jurassic Park, that dinosaur. There's just giant versions of them. I think they look cool. I thought it was a good introduction to getting acclimated to how to control outside of the pilot and running on walls and figuring out where you need to go, and following. I would say the waypoints when it was telling you where you needed to go.
Yeah.
And then they also had like the walls, the rock walls highlighted. They weren't. There was it was very subtle, but they looked yellow to me on everywhere I needed to go, and it got you acclimated to shooting weapons in first person. And I thought it was a cool level. I liked the how it looked, the environment, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I fell a lot to my death. I fell to my death a lot, though. Just like because it looked like you can go. Sometimes there was places where it looked like you can get to, and I was like, oh, maybe. And I was exploring here because it was cool. You run so fast on the walls, and so I would always just try to go to places that you can't get to. So
I did the same thing.
But it's because I was looking for. I found like the blue helmets.
The helmets, yeah. I was looking for helmets as well.
I looked for a lot of that because those were fun to get just because of the movement capabilities that you had as a character.
Yeah, I found myself going for those a lot as well. What about y'all? What you guys think about this first level?
It's definitely fun. Like I keep comparing it to the first Titanfall, even though there's no campaign, but you don't really see any jungle levels like this in the first one. You know, they're all in like a worn down city or somewhere like that.
Mm-hmm.
So them dropping you into this zone like first is kind of like, you know, a huge introduction for new players and old players. So I thought it was pretty cool.
I liked it. I think one of the strong suits of this game is just kind of the level design. It's not like I feel like it's well done, and it's not obvious sometimes the you know, the exact direction they want you to go. I guess it's kind of, to me, it kind of felt like intuitive. Like, it just kind of made sense the ways that you want to get around the environment without having to just sit there and have like a, you know, like a painted or like a, you know, colored area, be like, oh, well, this is the way you got to go. And then with the movement, everything's so fluid. So it's like, it's super easy to kind of get around the environment. And, you know, being in a open area like that, rather than just kind of being running through buildings or something like that, it's you know, it's a lot, you know, a lot what's the word I'm looking for here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, I dug it.
Good. Yeah, like I didn't know like what to expect with this game, and I appreciated we were playing a futuristic shooter, you know, game, and you know they're focusing so heavily on movement and everything. And the first setting you're in is in the jungle. I was like, that caught me off guard because I was thinking we're going to be in some like warehouse or something, like some building, and I wasn't expecting to be on the outside and so I did like that, and kind of got a feel for all the different, not different, but like some of the different enemies that you fight, like those drones and then like humans and the aliens, and you got a good mix of different enemies, and then you get to kind of see how the guns worked in this game. And one of the things too that we kind of need to touch on is like Trevor mentioned the guns being from Apex. I really dug. I don't think for me the guns didn't really like stand out. They were kind of just generic military shooter guns. But I like that they almost forced you to have to try out different types of guns because you're most likely not going to be able to find ammo for them. And I shouldn't say generic in the sense of like the way they were, but it's like you had your standard submachine guns, assault rifles, snipers, shotgun, and then there was some like twists on those different guns. But for the most part, like you're not playing with any type of alien technology, or there's no like chainsaw or blade on any of your guns or anything like that. It's just kind of like, you know, the guns are what the guns are.
There's like just enough variance that like it kind of keeps things kind of interesting, I guess, so you don't get like bored of you know, the same weapon, I guess.
And then I didn't feel like anything was necessarily too powerful where it was like, oh, I want to like hold on to this thing, you know. Like there was a couple times I definitely like some things I preferred to use, but it was just kind of like, oh, if I needed to have a different gun because I was running low on ammo with this one, it wasn't like, oh, I feel bad about doing this. For the most part, all the guns kind of felt pretty good.
Yeah, nothing felt like generally like really bad or weak.
Yeah.
I noticed that too, about the ammo. Like I felt like I was at some point after so long of using the gun, I had to switch out just because there wasn't ammo for it. My favorite gun, though, I did have a favorite gun. I like the Spitfire, the LMG.
See, the thing is the guns were so nondescript to me that I don't know the names. You're gonna have to tell me like what was the Spitfire?
The Spitfire was a light machine gun. That's one that's specifically in Apex. It has like 75 rounds. It's just in this game and in Apex, it's very accurate and it's destroys.
Mm-hmm.
You can just hold it down with low.
I like the gun that shot red shots. It had like 150 as its ammo. It seemed like an energy kind of pulse rifle or something like that.
Oh, and it was like a laser type.
Kind of. I really like that gun.
I think that was an L-Star, maybe.
I think so. And then the other one, I only saw it maybe 2 or 3 times, but the gun that the longer you held the trigger down, the quicker the bullet shot. So like the fire rate ramps up as you're holding the trigger down. So
like
at first,
a minigun?
Well, no, it kind of like a minigun, but it was a like an assault rifle. So you had the range and accuracy, precision that you would need, but you could opt to be like, you know, tap 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 tap. Or you could kind of do like almost like a burst, or you could hold it down and make it automatic. And I like that gun.
I don't recall that one, but there definitely was a lot of guns to go through.
My favorite one, which is probably like my favorite weapon in any shooter, was the DMR, and that was just because it has like a laser sight on it, or not a laser sight, but like when you use the scope on it, you could see like your enemy's not necessarily like a heat signature, but
silhouette.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see the outline, kind of see where they're at. They're behind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess even going a little more into combat, what do you guys think of, like, so you have 2 guns, and you're constantly swapping those out. You have some type of, like, equipment, like they had like a frag grenade. I think it was the one you defaulted to, but then they had other variations on that. They had like these satchel charges. What was that, Trevor?
The arc grenade.
What did it do?
It was like a electric.
Okay, yeah. Y'all are saying the names of things, and like I didn't memorize anything.
They also had those little mine things, which I hated fighting against them.
Yeah,
those are pretty annoying.
Those were toxic.
And then they also, so you had a melee too, and your melee was strong as hell.
So was the enemies.
One hitter quitters. Oh, I never asked you guys what console did you guys all play on? I played on PS4 and I played on hard. So what console and what difficulty you guys play on?
I was on PC and I played on hard as well. That's the one below Master, right?
Yeah.
I played on Xbox One, and I played on easy this time because the first time I played it on hard. So this time I was just kind of playing it for the story, and also looking for helmets, the collectibles.
Gotcha.
I played on PC, and I guess I played on normal. I guess that's whatever the default one is.
The default, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know, like, and so in the combat for this game, it was kind of interesting because you're playing a first-person shooter, and they're getting behind cover, and you can't really, like, get up behind cover in the same way other people can. But, like, also just this game is, or the same way you can in other games, like a Gears of War or, like, just cover-based shooters. But the enemies are kind of getting behind cover, and they're, like, they're trying to flank you, but they don't have the movement for the most part the same way you do. And then they start, like, it starts off pretty simple, I feel like, just getting you acclimated to the game. But I feel like towards the end of the game, they start throwing different enemy types at you, and it starts to get way more interesting, where they'll have like the drone enemies that can fly just directly to you, and then they'll sometimes send like those explosive robot ones that crawl on the ground, those bulb ones.
Oh, the spider. Oh no, not the spiders.
They look like spiders.
Well, I was thinking of the things that you can actually use, like for your. But I know what you're talking about.
And then they also, like, you know, there's enemy like robots that are like humanoids standing on 2 legs that were pretty strong, as well as humans. And so like you get a good variety of enemy types that you're fighting.
There was 2 different types of robots, I believe, because one you could hack and the other ones you couldn't.
Yeah.
Who do you mean hack?
If you walked up to them, you
could, yeah.
You could hack them and then they could work on your side, and that was fun.
Yeah, I really like that too. Yeah, getting teammates and everything. But like, it just made the fights a little bit more dynamic because even on hard, like I didn't really sweat combat. Like sometimes I got overwhelmed, but I mean, like it really wasn't like. Did you feel like combat was difficult, Trevor?
I don't think it was difficult. I just had like an issue with like the melees because like I'm not gonna lie, I got bopped so many times. But, like I would go in for a melee and then
you'd whiff
sometimes, like no, I wouldn't whiff it, but like if you don't hit first, you dead.
See, for me, I would get hit and then my screen would be like it would be super red and then I would get shot and die.
Yeah,
but like,
sometimes they could. I felt like whoever punched me would either punch me twice really fast. Or they would punch me, and then I just there was times where I just felt like I didn't have any time to react after I got punched.
Oh no! See, I never felt that way.
Were you guys using the cloak to kind of get out of situations like that, or?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I would use the cloak sometimes, but majority of times I would forget about the cloak.
Yeah, you also had a cloak in combat, so you could basically go invisible and kind of reposition yourself.
It doesn't necessarily last long enough to give you an advantage.
It's only to me. It seems like they only put it in as like a fail safe. Like, oh, you're getting messed up, so just do this and then run behind something and get your health back, then go back out.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it has any tactical usage. It's just kind of retreating and get your bearings.
I think it's probably something that you can use if you're getting overwhelmed. You kind of like you're already taking a bunch of damage. You can kind of reposition and. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of felt like Trevor, like when I was getting jacked up was when I would run up on somebody and my melee I would melee too soon. So like I'm whiffing and then I would get hit and die and would die. But most of the time I was bodying people. Like if somebody was up on me, swinging on them. The ones that were giving me the hardest time were those spider explosive dudes. Like, if you shot those dudes too close to you, or, like, because I would try to get if I knew those things were coming, I would try to get, like, a higher vantage point, and they could still get up to me, and, like, if they're up to me on a tiny platform and I'm shooting at them, if they explode close to me, I'm just automatically taking damage, and if I'm also getting shot at by somebody else, I was dying a lot that way.
Yeah, those spider things, they suck, especially when they came in squads.
Yeah. So overall, you guys enjoyed combat in this game?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I liked it. I like this type of combat for campaign. For multiplayer, I do not.
What you mean? Like,
well, I mean, like, I that's part of the reason why I didn't like the Call of Duty games to stop playing those is because the running on wall stuff.
Oh, that
super
part.
fast paced.
Yeah.
I don't mind it for Apex Legends for some reason, but like I played a few games of the multiplayer on this one. I don't like being able to play in the mechs on multiplayer, and I just don't like how fast paced it is on multiplayer. It's just too fast for me, and I'd just rather not deal with it.
Gotcha.
Campaign's fun though.
Campaign's fun. Gotcha. What'd you guys think of the platforming in this game? Then, like, that was a really huge part of this game. We kind of talked about the wall running and everything, but them kind of building levels based off of your ability to get higher up because you're wall running and making these tight jumps, or not tight jumps, but making these jumps over these gaps and everything. Did you guys really dig it, or did it seem kind of like meh?
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like it because I really like the Mirror's Edge games that EA made. I played the first one countless times, and so kind of it reminded me a lot of that. And I it was super fun. And then like I never felt like I never felt like I was going in the right direction. But just because I was so like just running around and having fun, like I felt like I'd always end up in the right place. And there was so many different like ways to run up the walls, and I feel like I could just never. I like that I didn't have to ever touch the ground if I didn't really want to, in certain levels.
Yeah, I mean I liked it. I guess one of the good things about it is like even if you do mess up, it's not very punishing. You know, like checkpoint's pretty good, so it's like you're not really punished too heavily for mistakes. And I feel like they do enough with the core mechanic of just like running and platforming throughout the game between. I don't want to like get too far ahead, but like the time, it's not time travel. I guess what do you call it? Where you start using the arc, I guess to, I guess it is time travel, right?
Yeah, it is time travel. Best map or best level, by the way.
Yeah, but like once they started doing that stuff, it was. I think that's probably like my favorite part of the game, to be honest. But yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, what you, Trevor?
Oh yeah, I'm glad they added it because. I mean, it shows off what your character can do, or like kind of what the mechanics can do in the game. So I'm glad they added the platforming in here. I could see it. I could see this as a 2D platformer. Like, you know how people will go and make like a 2D version of 3D games?
Yeah.
I could see somebody doing that with it.
My only not complaint, I dug it as well. I kind of wish they implemented some platforming and combat at the same time. It just, the game kind of felt a little bit segmented where it was like, here's the combat section. Okay, cool. Now here's the platforming section. Okay, now you're back into combat. You know what I'm saying? Did you guys feel that way?
There are some levels where you can incorporate it, and I tried it, and it's not very comfortable.
It's hard to aim.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're
because you can't look down the sights while you're running. And
right, exactly.
But did you guys feel that way though, or was it just me?
I mean,
it's a minor complaint, by the way.
It wasn't something like I was actively trying. Like there was times where like when you're running from like platform to platform on a ship. I think it's on the second to last mission, or maybe right before that, where like I was just jumping and trying to shoot at the same time. And I mean, it worked, and I didn't have like huge issues doing it. But I guess maybe they were worried about overcomplicating it and trying to keep the game, scale it pretty decent level for people.
Some of my standout parts of the game were ones where they kind of implemented both. We can kind of get a little bit. I want to talk about the Titans before we get into the story, but two that stand out was when you were in that dome, and like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? The dome
talking
fight.
about the training part.
Yeah.
The kind of like it's not really training, but I guess they put you in like a training,
a simulated kind of environment.
Yeah.
Where like you're running in and out of those buildings and enemies are spawning there, and it's like you have to use your like. When I played that, I was like, "Yo, this is how every encounter should be." Is how I felt. Like I was like, "Why am I fighting dudes that are hiding behind cover when you have this really, really great movement system in the game? Like, take advantage of this. Like, when you're down to like, for me, I was killing all the weaker enemies and running away from the Titan or mech or whatever, and then once I got it down to that one, like he was chasing me and I'm like trying to take out all the other, and it was just really fun, and like I gotta make this jump, there's a guy over there that I need to kill, but also avoid the missiles that this guy is shooting at me from behind, and like having that kind of, I don't know,
that experience that you're talking about, I got that in the part right before the sim, and that's when I also was like, okay, this game is it's really fun. The part where it reminded me of Monsters Inc. Where the doors go.
Yeah.
That whole map area or that whole part of the campaign was super fun to me. That was also the part I was referring to. I felt like I had no idea where I was going.
Exactly.
And it was so fun. Yeah, because you can play that part over and over again, and you can play it any way you want, and it'll be different every time. I feel because there's so many different areas you can go to. So I just felt like you didn't have to go to. There was some platforms that I didn't go to in that area. I could have if I wanted to, and it would have been a different way to get to the simulation stage.
But yeah, before we fully get into the levels, the last part is talking about playing in the Titan, because I think right after that first level where you get the battery chart or like the charges for the Titan, that very next level you start off and you get to be in the Titan and play that level. How did you guys like playing as a Titan?
It was I liked it for the most. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It reminded me of. I don't know if y'all seen Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But to me, like how they have the neurolinks and everything, it was pretty much exactly like that, except for you control the pilot, or you don't have two pilots. It's just yourself. And I thought it was. I liked the interaction between yourself and the pilot, or between yourself and the mech, the Titan. They built a bond. And it was they helped each other out. You didn't always have to fight in the Titan, which I liked, because I thought it was cool to be able to explore on the ground. Because sometimes there was some stuff sometimes you had to get out of your pilot to get a battery for him if you couldn't access it with while inside the Titan. So I thought the gameplay was really cool. I liked how there was different. You could have the same Titan, but he could just equip different weapons instantly. I like that feature of it too. Because sometimes some of the weapons that I thought they were kind of trash for the time.
I liked it. The only thing that I wish that you kind of can do in the multiplayer is part of the multiplayer is kind of like you'll get your Titan, but you kind of hop out, and then the Titan will kind of autopilot itself or like start doing combat, taking place in combat. But in the campaign, it's like they kind of separate it. You don't really get to do much. It's either you're kind of in the Titan doing Titan stuff, or you're on foot doing that. But I kind of wish they gave you more opportunities to kind of fight alongside the Titan if you wanted to.
There was a couple of parts that felt like you could, but yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Trevor?
As far as being in the Titan, it felt very natural. Like you would think the transition from being on foot and going to the Titan would take forever or kind of take away from the game, but it feels pretty fluid. And especially in the campaign, I can't remember how it is in the multiplayer, but it almost seems to pause the action in the campaign. Like once you're entering the Titan, you're kind of invulnerable for a second.
Oh, kind of like you have some invincibility frames.
Yeah. Like while you're getting back into the action, so that's that definitely helps out, like transitioning, being on foot and being in the Titan.
How often were you jumping out of the Titan?
Oh, a lot. Like I told you, I was looking for helmets.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm the only one. I thought all right, so
I stopped getting out of the Titan after I hopped out and got destroyed by another Titan. And my body just went flying.
Oh yeah, I knew not to do that.
So when I initially picked this game, like the list of games I have were all mech games because I had just watched Evangelion or just finished it. So like I was really in the mood for like playing a mech game, and to me these mechs were whack. Like this was my least favorite part of the game. These things were like at first like it was so cool. Like that first fight you have with that guy Kane, the other guy in the Titan. Like I that fight was cool, but like after a while I was like, this is just like I'm just fighting bullet sponges. And y'all know how I feel about bullet. Like I hate that. I hate that. And every single loadout that you had, I felt like I was missing something. Like there was always something on any single loadout that I either didn't like to use, and it just kind of felt like, well, why am I like? I tried to mess around and see which ones. Whenever I unlocked a new loadout, like what is this about? What is this about? But I ended up keep going back to the one you start off with because I felt like that one was like the most. I don't want to say balanced, but it just felt like I had the most answers for the situations I was going to be in. But even still, like there was nothing about the loadouts. They didn't really seem that much different. It was just like the main weapon that you had for the most part.
And that's one part that I think the multiplayer has over the campaign is that there are multiple Titans that you can choose from. Like they have different frames or chassis that you can use, and then you can customize your loadouts or choose from like default ones. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this one, you're kind of relegated to that same, I think is the Atlas Titan.
I mean, you can change
the same.
You can change your Titan.
You can.
Yeah, you can. Or not your. You're talking about the model, or you're talking about the
model. Because the model kind of determines like either how much health you have, how fast you can move.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It has other perks, whereas with this one, you can only use the perks that come with the loadouts.
Well, you're playing it as BT, so it makes sense. They don't want you to be playing a different Titan or whatever. But I mean, was I the only one that felt that way about the combat? I felt the combat was kind of just boring, especially like that last level where you're fighting a whole. Is it the last level, or it's you with that chick Sarah Briggs or whatever?
Yeah, that level sucked.
And you're just fighting Titans after Titans, and it's just kind of like, this kind of it's not fun. It's not really fun.
Yeah, so I felt kind of in the same boat as you in certain regards on that topic. So the first fight, I was like, okay, I felt like you had to be a little bit tactical on the first fight, and there's some strategy to it. And then as it kept getting into the Titan, I guess boss fights, I felt it started to kind of like not require as much thinking, and you just kind of just went all out against the other Titan. As far as the weapons go, my favorite one, I like the fire one, where you had like the I guess napalm tank that you could shoot. You could throw it and then you could shoot it, and it's like a thermite. It makes thermite on the ground. That one was my favorite one. But as far, I did feel like if you're the only issue I had with the guns, I felt like on the for me it was my middle mouse button, but it was the one if you didn't have the shield or some sort of shield, you were kind of like it wasn't a good weapon to me. I felt like the shield was necessary in all the situations. I like the sniper one too, and I use that one on that one boss or one level you're referring to where you're just fighting through titans after titans after titans. That one, I didn't really like that level because it felt so long, and the titans are super tanky, and then there wasn't a lot of health everywhere, so you would once you get low, like you can't really go all in or you just die.
Yeah, exactly. What about y'all?
I mean, I didn't have too big of an issue with it. I guess
this guy playing on normal mode and easy mode, of course y'all love it.
the only that one level though, I can kind of agree with you because it's like that was getting kind of monotonous because you're just kind of just mowing down Titan after Titan. And it's like it doesn't really have much impact, I guess, because you're just mowing everybody down. And then, like as far as the boss fights, I felt like you didn't really have to incorporate a lot of strategy. To me, they were just kind of more fun to just mess around with the weapons. But I guess if you don't really like the weapons or some of the weapons, I could see it. But you can kind of just brute force, at least on normal, you can kind of just brute force it against the other bosses, and it's not, not really too much strategy involved in it.
So, in regard to that level that y'all were referring to, where you're just kind of like fighting Titan after Titan, that level made me think of how this game is kind of parallels Star Wars and why people don't like the prequel trilogy is because like when you first start off in the campaign, there are very few Titans. Like there's yours that you kind of stumble upon, and then every now and then you'll run into like 2 or 3 Titans, and which is kind of like similar to the Jedi in the original trilogy. But then as you get further along in the game, it just seems like everybody's got a Titan, and they're not as special anymore. Kind of like there's so many Jedi in the prequel trilogy, and everybody's got running around with a lightsaber. So it kind of saturated it to me. The feeling of being in the Titan and facing off against other Titans. Like I like being able to fight like the special bosses.
Yeah, like the one-off like human pilot in a mech.
And I guess that's kind of how they show off the different Titan models is through the bosses.
I always just took it as the loadouts, honestly.
Some of them were a little bit different too. Like it wasn't just a different paint job, but they actually had like a different model. They weren't too extreme. But if you play the multiplayer, you can see the difference between some of the different Titan models. But yeah, I liked fighting specialized bosses versus just waves of regular Titans. It just made it seem less important, or not important, but not as dramatic. Like, oh, that guy's got a Titan too. Like, I understand, like, at this time, there are a lot of pilots. But, I don't know, I just prefer...
They all had the same name at the end too, towards the end, for the most part,
yeah.
like Scorch. Like,
it was literally just like the loadout time. Yeah, it was just like the loadout of the, I think it was mostly for the player. I won't like -1 or anything for that. Like, I understand why it was that way. But yeah, like I don't know, that was like my main complaint was just especially too, I'm thinking like, oh, like it didn't feel like I didn't feel powerful. Like I guess what Trevor said about Star Wars makes sense because it's like when I'm on foot as a pilot, I'm taking dudes down like no problem. But then when I'm in the mech, in the Titan, we're on like equal playing grounds. I don't feel as strong anymore because it's like, oh, I got a shield, I have this gun, and that's really it. And like, yeah, you're taking down like the humans that are like outside of the Titans, but like the Titans themselves, the fights were kind of like boring, and you fought them from the very beginning of the game, like it was Titan on Titan. You never had a part where you're just like a Titan just like ramshacking an entire facility because there's no Titans there. So like you never really got, and the movement in the Titan wasn't special either. You're just plodding along. So it was just kind of like, oh, there's not really a point or part where I felt like, yo, being in a mech is really cool. And that's what I wanted after watching Evangelion. So yeah, that Titan part was like my least favorite part of the game, and like I honestly could have. It's really weird because the main pull of this game for me was the fact that there were mechs, and then it ended up being my least favorite part of the game, and like I could have done without, honestly. All right, we're close. I don't know if I want to talk about levels now, but I don't know. Is there anything else, combat, platforming, or Titan related, you guys want to hit on? All right.
No, not right now.
All right, let's talk about these levels. So, I think this was. So, we kind of said the first level was the jungle level. The second level was the Titan level, where you're going in and out of a facility, going into a facility as the Titan, and you're getting in and out. So that's one of those ones where you can be on foot or whatever. I don't really, to me, I don't know if you guys have anything stand out on that level when you're in the facility.
Is that blood and rust? Like
blood
you
and
have to
rust.
avoid the lava.
Yeah, that one I guess
lava.
is yeah.
It was okay.
Like, all right, like, the level, the IKEA level, the one Trevor was talking about where you're, like, the Monsters, Inc. fights.
Yeah.
That level was sick.
Is that Effect and Cause?
No, that level I think is called Into the Abyss.
Into the Abyss. Yeah, that's right before Effect.
That level, I freaking love that level.
Yeah,
where you're fighting on like those moving platforms,
yeah,
and it's going through that facility, and like at the very end, you're like in like a almost like an IKEA room, and you're like, what's going on? Then they flip the wall, and so now you're climbing up out of it into that dome. Like that entire level was like, this level is sick. Like combat on you say what, Trevor?
It was fun, and that level was super replayable to me.
Yeah, like that level. That was like I think when I first played this game, I played the first level, and I was like, okay. And I played the second level, and I was like, I don't really care for the Titans. And then I played this level, and I was like, yo, they have something here. That was the level that it was like, oh shoot, like okay, now I'm into this game. And not to say that the other parts of the game I didn't like, but this level was like the level design. Like that was when I was like, okay, like they're doing something here, and I really dug it. Even like I was telling you guys at the very end when you're shot up out into that dome, when you climb out into that dome, and then they build the facility with all the rooms and everything that you had been fighting, or like the platforms and everything. That's what's popping up in that dome, and then they spawn enemies and teammates for you, and then you have to fight people. And like to me, that level, because you get to the platforming, or like you get to do the action and movement part in a combat situation. That level was my favorite level at this point.
I mean, if you wanted to play Portal, you just could have played Portal.
But it's not even. I don't, dude. I mean, I know, but you're not wrong. But I mean, even at the very end too, because I think you fight that mech, Ash too. The ninja one with the sword, the mech with the sword.
I thought her name was Viper, but
no, Viper's the flying one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, it was Ash. You're right. That was the dopest entry ever. That was sick. When she came with that sword, I was like, oh shit, I'm about to die.
Yeah, so like I just like front to back, like this level for me was like I'm digging everything about this level.
I think we were talking about this a while back. Maybe Dante was. I don't know. I can't remember who we were all talking to, but I think I mentioned like when Titanfall came out and they announced there wasn't going to be an actual campaign. To me, this game felt like they saved all their good ideas for a campaign and put them in here.
Oh, for the first, well, like I told you, for this game, they came up with different ideas and prototypes and integrated them to form a single coherent campaign in this game. So, I definitely, honestly, from what I read,
it was like the perfect level for this type of like gameplay as far as your how you can move, how the character can move and traverse.
This was the perfect level, and then even like I wrote down the dome creator is cool. The moving belts and platforms, and I just really loved how everything felt so dynamic. My only complaint, I guess, was I wish you would have fought Ash in the dome. Like, I thought that would have been cool. Like, I wish there was more in the dome. I wish you would have fought more enemies, or there was a boss or some additional Titan encounter in there, because I felt like that space was so cool. Like, even if it was like, you're fighting Ash, or at least even just running away from her, because you don't have your Titan at that point, and you're just running away from her, stalling for like 2-3 minutes game time before you get to escape, and then get in your Titan and then fight her like actually head on. Like, that would have been my only complaint, was like, I wish they used that dome even more.
Yeah, they could have. I felt like they could have made it where, since it's a simulation, they could have dropped your Titan there, and they could have been testing out like maybe non-piloted Titans or something. That would have been cool. But I was just surprised by at that point that, well, I thought that was going to be my favorite level.
Yes. I say all this to say this. Yes. Like, I was like, man, like, put a star on that level. And okay, so the other thing too, before we talk about the next level, do you have anything you have to say about this level, Greg or Trevor? The IKEA level, the dome level?
Nah, I mean you guys kind of said it. I mean, I liked it too. I mean, but you guys kind of summed up everything that all of the way I felt about it. So
yeah, I agree with y'all. It's a fun level, and just the way like stuff moves around you. Like, you're not sitting there waiting for, like, there are some games in campaigns where, like, if you miss a platform, you have to stand there and wait for the next platform to come up so you can jump on and go to the next part of the area. But with this one, it's just like stuff is moving around you, and you can either take your time or try to move with it while you're taking down enemies. So the pacing was really fun in this level too.
But then, a new challenger has approached. The very next level, Effect and Cause. And so, like, I had heard about this level. I didn't know it by name. I just knew there was a level in there that everybody had raved about and everything. So I kind of was waiting for it. And honestly, I was thinking it was the previous level. But I was like, wait, it doesn't have the thing that people were talking about. But this level was really well built. Like, how could a level top this level? And it did, though. Effect and Cause. I don't even know how to describe it. You go to this facility. You're trying to find. I don't remember the guy's name. Captain Anderson, I think, is his name.
Yeah, Anderson.
Or some. And you're trying to meet up with him
Major Anderson.
Major Anderson, and it ends up being that he died, and his body is stuck in between floors of this building. So you can get something like his helmet, but you need to get something off of his wrist or something like that. So you're walking around, and as you're walking around this facility, it's basically an old IMC facility, I think.
I think so.
And
overgrown with
yeah, it's
shrubs.
yeah, everything, like, there's just aliens there, like the monsters, and they like are there, but no humans or anything. And you're walking through, and you're seeing these flashbacks of what the facility looked like before, and some weird stuff starts happening, and then you end up getting to his top part of his body with his arm, and you get his thing on his wrist. And what did you call the thing, Greg or Trevor? One of you two called it something.
I probably didn't call it the right thing, but
Like, it's some type of time travel device.
Yeah.
And you basically can toggle back and forth between present day and the past when this facility was up and running. And the way the way Respawn utilizes this mechanic or feature in order to build out combat scenarios and platforming in this level is just, it's fantastic. Yeah, chef's kiss. I literally wrote that down. I wrote, oh my god, this time travel level is something else. Combat is dope, platforming is dope, puzzles are dope, like everything about this level.
Even like the kind of story that they had woven into this area of this level, like while you're getting there, you're having these like flashes because something is causing distortions in that area. And so, like, while you're walking through the complex, you can, like, every now and then it'll flash you to the past, where like you're inside the facility when it's operable, and then the first time you come up to some IMC guards or soldiers, and they actually start shooting at you, and you shoot them. And then it flashes back to the future or the present time, and then you see their bodies like on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, this is dope. Like, they thought of everything.
And then not the coolest part, but a cool part was like when you are in a like the back in the day and you see a group of enemies and they're like flanking you or they're like got you surrounded, you could just quickly go back to the present day, run behind them, I don't even know, I was going to say unpause it, but go back in time and then you're behind them. And just the way the combat was in that game, it just like, it felt so satisfying. This was one of those levels where I was like, I kind of talked about how when you were on foot, it felt like you were overpowered. And this was one of those rare instances where you were overpowered and it was still fun. It was so enjoyable. You were like almost like God mode almost.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're pretty much just toying with them.
But it was so satisfying.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying. In the way they did the puzzles as well, where you're like wall jumping on something that is there, and then it's like fallen in the future or in the present day.
Travel.
Yeah, like everything about this level was just, it was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed getting the helmets on this level. I got all the helmets on this one because they were fun to get to.
My man.
No, this is the one level too that I replayed this one for sure because it was just so good to me. And I actually like the aesthetics too of the environment and like the facility look. It was just, to me, it was well made.
Yeah, with the color palettes, you can definitely tell which side you were on.
What you mean? Like what if you're in the present or the future, or present or past?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Enemies too, because you would be fighting humans in the past, and then in the present you'd fight those robots or the dinosaurs.
It was even crazy too because, like, it was very like a weird vibe because the way they try to play it up almost like zombies when you first got into that room, and it was all those robots that were like really old and rickety, and they were like crawling at you and coming out of the ground and all that stuff. And like they kind of play it up like a zombie movie or like a zombie
Or like the Thriller music video.
I mean, yeah. Man,
Like I don't know how I played this the first time. I'm pretty sure I didn't do this playing on hard, but this time, since I was playing on easy, Like, I'm sitting there watching the robots climbing up out of the ground or out of the floor, and like while I'm watching them, I'm like slowly getting surrounded by them because they just start swarming me. But
you're just watching them.
It was just so cool to watch them like come to life.
They could just zip on out of there.
But I mean, I even like the ones where you had to like just all the puzzles where you had to like go back in time and reposition yourself, or like you needed to hit this jump at this thing and then time travel, so then that way you're going through an open door versus like all of that stuff. It was this level.
Yeah, the one that got me, that took me the longest to figure out, was the one where it's just an empty hall, and then there's enemies shooting from below, but then in the past it's just fire below, and I was like, where the heck do I go on this part? But you're supposed to just go all the way to the end of the hall with the enemies, and then time travel so that you're about to fall into the fire, and then you just time travel back so you're underneath the glass.
Mm-hmm.
That part took me the longest to figure out, but it was so cool though.
Even
like when
go ahead.
The platform out, and when there was the giant open room where you would have to be on one platform, in present, and then in the past, to jump to the next platform, in the middle of your jump, you have to go back to the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like that stuff was it was so cool and well made.
The one where you're like jumping down the tunnel, the tube, and there's those fans going and the flames, and you got to keep on toggling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it was easy, but it's just so satisfying. It was just so cool, and it's just like, man, like I have no complaints about the level. Like I think they completely nailed it. My only complaint was you couldn't bring that thing with you for the rest of the game.
that's what I was thinking they were gonna do. But
even at the freaking end. Even at the end with the explosion, and you're just running off the pieces of the building that are like when time stops.
Yep.
I would have rather had that time thing than my invisibility. I didn't even care about not having the invisibility after that.
Like, oh man, yeah, like whatever explosive thing goes into, I think it goes into a helicopter. I don't remember what happens, but like you're basically, this building explodes, implodes, or whatever, and you're running on walls and concrete and like jumping between things, and everything is frozen in time. There's enemy body parts, and just you're trying to get to this It's so sick. It was so sick.
Yeah, I think this is the best level in the game,
dude. Like, no hyperbole. Like, I cannot think of another first person level, just period, that I like more, that stood out and I like as much as this. You know?
I remember when I first played this campaign and I got to this level, I thought this was at the end because I was like, I don't know how they're going to top this.
Well, spoilers, they don't. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't think of another, like if I were to say, like a first person shooter that we played for the show, like Doom. Yes, Doom is really fun. I really love the campaign. I can't tell you a single level about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, where if I think about this game, if somebody said, "Yo, tell me about Titanfall," like I'm gonna tell them about this level. And I can't even think of another, like we were talking about shooters, like all those shooters that we named, like I cannot think of another level that just impressed me as much as this one did.
Yeah, not to this level for sure. That's for sure.
I mean, even the last level we played, like that was super sick, and I'm gonna remember like the IKEA. You know, like I'm just gonna like remember that level now, and like that was this game at a 9. You know. I don't know. I just those especially these two levels back to back too. I was just like, yo, like I know I'm only halfway through this game. I can't wait to see what else they do, because like I'm like this level is not like, this shouldn't be in the middle of the game. It should be like the last level. Like it was so good.
Yeah, I would have been happy with that with the ending there.
Do we got anything else to say about Effect and Cause? Yeah. All right. Well, the rest of the levels aren't as cool.
I like the next one, the Beacon.
I mean, yeah. So the next level is the Beacon, and it's like it's like a sky facility or whatever.
Yeah. You basically
And
have to get a satellite going.
yeah, and so like it's cool. You're using cranes to reposition walls in order to jump between units, and at the very end, there's when you activate the satellite, you get bombarded with enemies. And my complaint about this is like, especially after playing the dome level, this was the only other part of the game where I felt like they tried to implement combat with the movement mechanics. But I just didn't feel like this level, it was as strong in this level as it was on the dome level. I still appreciated that I could do it, but it just wasn't as I didn't enjoy it as much. It didn't feel as smooth and fluid as it did on the previous level.
The standout part of this level to me was once you get the what was the device called? The thing where you
I'm trying to look it up right now.
tool.
Yeah.
And you're able to power up like certain things.
Yeah, you're able to turn things on and off.
Like the platforming part of that was really fun to me.
It was, but the problem is the range of that thing was so far that I never felt like, and I guess it's not a complaint, but I guess maybe going back to the movement thing, like movement was really fun, but it felt like it was so low stakes in this game. Like I never felt like I was gonna mess up, you know? It felt simple.
Because there were a couple of times... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
I was just going to say, to add to that, there were a couple of times where you used the arc tool, and I would think that after you use it, you would only have a certain amount of time to get across a platform that's, been lowered or raised before it'll go back to its original state. But that wasn't the case. Once you use the arc tool, it changes.
It was like, it was stuck there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just kind of felt like I don't know. It did feel like platforming was a little bit easier, and this was like one of those. And it was the same the entire game, but this was the first level that I actually felt like, it doesn't really like. As long as I'm close enough, I'll be good.
I felt like in this level, like as long as you're moving, you're good. Because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even do any combat pretty much on this level. I ran through everything. Didn't feel the need to stop. Felt like I would have been wasting time if I would have just stopped. And I was still able to get all the helmets too. So, but I did like when you got that weapon up, and I did enjoy the platforming after that. But I kind of just like speed ran through this part, to be honest. But I still enjoy the level.
Mm-hmm. You got anything, Greg?
It's fine.
I feel that, yeah.
You didn't like being able to use the arc tool to.
He said it's fine
to take the robots.
I mean, no, it was cool. It's just kind of like like the previous level just kind of set like a high bar. So it's like, even though this is like, it's okay. It's I mean, it's hard to follow that up. You know what I mean? Like, it was serviceable, I guess.
That's just kind of how I felt about the rest of the levels, to be honest. Like, I think this was one of these standout levels, but like those two before, to me, were just so much more fun and just go ahead.
I was gonna say I still think I enjoyed this one a bit more than the rest of the levels.
Actually, I take that back. There's one other level. So I don't really remember the next level, if I'm being honest. Trial by Fire. Do you guys remember anything about this level?
I remember the name of it.
Wasn't that where you were started off in the mech and then like you had to?
Oh, which level?
Trial by Fire. I think this is the one. This is the one where you're with all the mechs and you're.
Oh yeah, that's you gotta go through all the mechs.
It starts off and you're running across that big battlefield.
Yeah, this level I didn't like.
That's like the beginning of the end, like as far as like goodness.
Oh no, you chill, because the next level I liked as well. At least the arc, the one where you start on that flying ship, and you got to jump onto the other ship, and this is another one of those levels where you get to hack the robots, and you're fighting alongside of on a flying ship with other ships flying beside you.
Yeah.
I really like the fights where you're taking out the gunner. You're taking out gunner ships that are shooting at your teammates that are flying, And so you're on the ship and you're taking out the enemy gunners and everything, and that part is fun. But then you jump back on the ship, the main ship, and you end up fighting. This is where you fight that Viper Titan, and
One that flies.
the one that flies. And I this was probably my least favorite Titan fight.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Titan parts of this level, but I like the other stuff at this level.
I used a sniper on him, the sniper Titan.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I did too.
It was just like, eh.
But I like the level. I liked this level. It was fun up until the fight.
Fastball.
I kind of agree with you there.
Wait, you agree what?
About the level itself was good, but like the boss fights kind of.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, here comes another bullet sponge. Great, can't wait.
After you just fought a ton.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last level, which I don't remember the last level either. Hold up, the fold.
Hold
weapon.
on though, because because your mech at the end of this level, your mech gets that little arc thing, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
gets the arc, and then you guys get captured as prisoners.
Yes. This
So
level
this
was
is-
cool. This level was
This
cool.
is where, like, okay, it was kind of sad though. Like, I was like, oh man, my boy, my guy. But when you get his little
The little eyeball thing.
oh my god,
Yeah.
yo, that gun was nuts.
Yeah. So BT gets captured, and you're captured with them. They're trying to take the thing out of him that the enemies are, the IMC, and then they leave. BT's basically is getting tortured or something, and they want to get something from him. They're going to kill you. They threaten to kill you, and then he's like, "Fine, here's this thing." And then they like wreck BT, and then like in his dying whatever, he gives you like, "Oh, here, I have this backup thing. You can take it," and it has a knife and a pistol in it. And then it's just like, it just tells you. I think the game says, run, evade, and something like that. And it is on. It's the serve kit. The serve kit. That's what it's called. And
it served.
like you're just running, and you have this thing like you're running cross-handed, so you have the knife and the gun, and it's like a pistol, and you're like, oh man, I got a pistol. This kind of sucks. But it just auto headshots everything because you have BT's little eyeball with you. Oh my god. So satisfying.
If you ever played Red Dead Redemption and you had the dead eye, that's what it is. It's just automatic dead eye on every target. Just locks on and you just pull the trigger. You don't even need to aim. I don't even know why they gave you the ability to aim.
Dante said it's the original Titanfall 1 pistol.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that good in Titanfall 1, but it's pretty ridiculous in the campaign.
That part was just, it was really fun. Like, it was just kind of like, all I got to do is worry about, like, it kind of was like, oh, here's platforming and combat. But really, there was no combat. It was just platforming, but it was kind of cool to, like, get to see what it would have been like if there was combat and platforming. And, like, it just makes you feel so badass, and it was just so satisfying. That part was cool. I forgot about that part. Was real cool. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe like there was like 4 or 5 good levels in this game. I mean, obviously, I think like I said, the time travel level is number 1 with a bullet, and then for me personally, the IKEA one is number 2. But there are moments in a couple of the other levels that I really dug.
Yeah, same. I agree on those. I didn't really like the mech stuff, but the Ash intro was super dope to me. I will never forget that.
I think the good thing though is like the game doesn't really like wear out its welcome. You know, it's like you can kind of get through this in a decent amount of time. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't like clock it, but I want to say it's probably like maybe 7 hours for me, 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
like it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is like great. And it's there's enough variety in the environments too, and just like the gameplay, where it's just kind of like you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
Did any of you guys? I mean, I kind of want to briefly touch on it, but I mean, I guess Trevor, you did. But did any of you other guys play campaign or multiplayer for this game?
I had, I guess when I originally got it, I played multiplayer a little bit, like maybe not like maybe 20, 30 hours of it or something like that. And I mean, that was when it first came out, but I liked it though. I mean, it feels like, I guess they changed some things from the original one. I don't remember enough about it, but yeah, I mean, the time I had with it, I liked it.
And I tried to do I went in with to do the pilot versus pilot, so I was assuming it would just be ground war action only, but they still had the mechs in it, and I just don't like mechs for multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I got my mech in the multiplayer, I dropped it. I didn't even know where it dropped at. I didn't know that you could get in it, but I just saw my mech had my name on it, and he was fighting around, so I didn't know that we could actually get in it. I thought they were just...
For show.
Yeah, and like they were just it was automating, killing people, but then I saw people ejecting out of their mechs. I was like, wait a second. So I was able to get into it, but still, like, too fast-paced for me. I don't like the running on walls to get into combat with against other players. I just think it's kind of, I just don't prefer it.
Mm-hmm. Did you end up playing it, Trevor?
I played it the first time after I beat the campaign. I wasn't able to play it this time because my network has changed, and I have like a moderate or strict NAC type, and so it wouldn't let me play multiplayer for some reason. But from what I remember, it felt like Titanfall from the first game, like the multiplayer, but the levels were a lot more open. You know, you have a lot more variety with the Titans and loadouts. From what I remember, it's a lot more beneficial to be in the Titan than on foot. I want to say that's how it felt playing it. Like if somebody on the field, on the enemy team had a Titan, you know, you're basically at a disadvantage, and that's probably what it's meant to feel like. But the first game, I don't know how many hours I put into it. I'm sure it was in the hundreds, but yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I told myself I was going to play the multiplayer, but I never ended up doing it. So I only can speak from the campaign point of view, and I really dug it. So I had I think we mostly answered all my questions. I had a couple more, but did you guys have anything else? We can wrap this up.
What would you change in this game to make it more like Neon Genesis?
Well, first,
yeah, teenagers.
I mean, it would have to be like the Titans would have to be like a big one-on-one fight, right? Like you can't be like, oh, I'm a Titan. At least if you're a good guy, you're not fighting other dudes like on the ground. You're just fighting. So like you fighting a Titan and one big Titan. And I feel like you would have to adapt to his weaknesses and everything. And so it would almost be like Shadows of the Colossus, but in Titans. And that could be really cool. Where it's like you're adapting to whatever is the weakness, or trying to figure out whatever the weaknesses of this particular Titan is. Every Titan fight is different. You could use different mechs, I guess, technically, or use different pilots or whatever, but that would be what I would do. What you think?
I don't really have an answer for that one. I was just wondering, because I remember you said you were wanting to play a mech game, and that was after we voted on this one, and I was just like, oh, wait. You probably wanted something more along the lines of like Zone of Enders.
So yeah, but again, I thought this was an actual Titan game or like a mech game. This was not what I was expecting. So I don't know. I think that if I wanted, especially after Eva, I'd want something that was a little bit more, I guess, tactical and less like action, like. I don't know, like the story in this game kind of seemed not that important or whatever. And I think that I'd have to have a more story-based game featuring Titans or something like that, you know?
What did you think about? And this is for everybody. What y'all think about BT's personality?
Like that.
I had a question about that too. I had a question. What? Okay, so piggybacking off Trevor, what did you think about BT's personality, and did it remind you or make you think of any particular character in media?
I mean, I feel. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you had it.
I don't know. I'd have to think back to like see if it's if there was like another protagonist or like that I could think of. But I mean, I liked him. He's just he has that kind of dry like robot sense of humor. You know what I mean? I kind of dug that, and it seems like you can see like his relationship with the main character kind of grow throughout the game. So I also kind of appreciated that.
Yeah, so it took a turn whenever she was like, I forgot who it was, but there was one part in the campaign where you were about to be or BT was about to be assigned to an actual pilot, and then he defended you. It reminded me of base. I can't even think. The Decepticons and
Transformers?
what is that? Transformers, yeah. Bumblebee. It reminded me of that because he was looking after you, and then he saved you. I mean, he had that Protocol 3. It was a very sad ending on for him, but he sacrificed himself for you. So it was like he had like lifelike, human-like emotion. But it reminded me of Bumblebee from Transformers.
What about you, Trevor?
I didn't think it was too overbearing. Normally, they either go like way too cheesy with robots or too dry, and I think this one was fine. Yeah, I liked it.
It made me think of Chappie. Did you guys?
Chappie?
Yeah. Did you guys watch Chappie?
No.
Is that the District 9?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, okay. I mean, I remember that, but like I don't remember enough of that movie.
I just like not necessarily the movie. I'm just talking about the way the robot acted. Like he was kind of humorous, but like in a dry way. Like kind of what Trevor said. It wasn't super corny. I do think there are parts where Chappie is a little corny, but I think it's because he's learning from the people around him.
Those
Diane Word. What do you say, Trevor?
Those gangsters he was learning from.
Yeah, from Diane Word. So I don't know. Like I really dug it. Dug him. I thought he was really cool. He was my little buddy. And another some other things that I saw, like people were likening him to the Iron Giant, or there was another robot character in something too. But it's just like it did feel like a buddy cop kind of movie, especially when you guys were separated earlier on, where he's kind of like giving you the lay of the land, and like kind of telling you matter of factly like what he can and can't do for you, and like, oh, I can see what you're doing right now, or you need to go, or whatever. It definitely felt like a kind of like Optimus Prime mixed with Iron Giant, mixed with Chappie, mixed with like all these different like attributes we see in all these robots in movies from media. Did you have anything else, Trevor, question wise?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, we covered basically. I have two questions left. One was, would you guys be interested in a Titanfall 3? Based off of I'm saying based off the campaign solely. I'm not including the multiplayer. But you can bring in the multiplayer if you would like.
Based solely off campaign, yeah. I would like for them to maybe increase the fluidity of or decrease the stiffness of the mech or the Titan. I think it'd be cool to maybe do like some rolls or dodge, or like I felt like whenever I was out of the Titan, and he was
he looked
like,
more fluid.
Yeah, he looked like he was doing a lot more agile. It would be cool to introduce like a jump mechanic with the Titan, like not even like something like where he's running on walls, but like instead of like his spacebar doing the booster thing, I would rather be able to jump. I don't know. I would like to feel it to feel less stiff if I'm playing as a Titan.
I mean, they kind of even show, especially at the end, that it's not necessarily the body that is the sentience, I guess, of the Titan, but it's the eyeball or whatever. So like they could do something where they're like, you're taking that little serve kit out of one body and putting it in a completely different one. So they could do like a level where it's like, this is
upgrading your guy's ship.
Yeah, like so, like underwater level, or like maybe this is one where we give you a super mobile Titan or like a stealthier one because this is the type of level, and you still have like the same voice in your head or the same buddy with you, but he's like has different abilities or whatever. And they showed that they can do that at the very last level, so I think that would be the next step personally. Is like giving you some different options as far as like what your Titan can actually do once you're in it.
I think it'd be cool to be able to customize to like your weapon kit, so not just being limited to just changing the weapon. You have force specific weapon.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
It'd be cool to be able to choose.
The thing that I like about the game is like I don't want it to change it to make it feel like another game. And I feel like enough other games where if you're just saying like, oh, if I hit a different button on a D-pad, I have a different weapon. If I hit up, there's my rifle, down is my special, left is my submachine gun, right is my, shotgun or whatever. Like I don't need this game to do that. I like that I have to experiment and use different weapons constantly. So I don't think that them giving you like a weapon loadout is like a step in the direction of like making Titanfall be Titanfall. I think it'll make Titanfall feel like a different, like something else,
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I was like, I think it's important that you don't get to just choose whichever Titan you want to use, and that's the one, before every level. Like I still think they should force you to have like the Titan that they want you to use for that level. But now that we know that you can just take out the mind of the Titan and implement it in a new body, that gives you a little bit more flexibility on like what they can do with the game. Because otherwise, like everybody's just gonna be like, oh, I want to take the speedy Titan, or I just want to take the heavy Titan, or whatever. But they can like create unique situations where you have this Titan that is built for being underwater or something like that, and like you still have your normal buddy voice and he still knows everything about you, but like he's retrofitted with these different upgrades or whatever. I don't know.
No, that'd be cool. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction that they can take.
I just want to see what cool levels they can come up with too.
What we like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, where it's like, if kind of what Trevor was saying, where it was like the first game they didn't have a campaign. The second game, they decided to have a campaign, but it was like a bunch of hodgepodge ideas thrown together. The third game, hopefully they planned and like crafted an entire story, and just having more time that they can dedicate to trying to do an entire campaign. I feel like they could come up with some really cool ideas,
but
based off of what they've done.
But who needs to do that when they can just take all the assets from this game and come out with a battle royale mode?
Yeah, and that was my next question. So, I guess my first question was, how would you feel about a Titanfall 3? And my next question was, does this game turn you on to wanting to play Apex Legends?
Nah.
I can't say that because
Did you get more, did you revisit Apex after playing this game?
I have not touched Apex after playing this game. I played it a little bit before, but I didn't know that I didn't know it was in the same universe. But I'm not a huge fan of Apex. I would rather play the Call of Duty Modern, the Warzone over Apex. The combat it's the same guns, but I feel like the combat is slightly different to me. I'm not that great at Apex Legends. I feel like the aiming is different.
What else is new?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not more. Basically, I'm not more turned on to playing Apex.
What about y'all?
Once I found out Apex Legends, like when Apex Legends was first announced, and I found out, they basically just used the same assets as Titanfall 2, and it was set in the same universe. It made me want to play it just because of how much I like Titanfall. But I'm not a big Battle Royale player, so I bounced off of it. I played maybe a few rounds of it here and there, and it's okay, but I don't know. I liked having the Titans. That was the fun part of it for me.
What about you, Greg?
Nah, I mean, I just don't have much interest in like battle royale shooters, so like I just not my thing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I watched somebody. I messed around with what was the first one? PUBG. I played that one. I played like Fortnite when it first came to console. I played that for like 3 games, 4 games, and it just the concept was never super appealing to me. So I'm kind of just I have my blinders on whenever new ones come out. I don't really check for them or anything like that. They don't do anything for me. You guys got anything else? No?
I feel like we covered everything that I had on my mind.
All right. Well,
I know Dante
Greg?
asked if any of us had if any of us got the trophy for the tutorial level. Any of y'all?
Nah, I tried it a couple times, but I was like, I'm not getting this.
wait. What's the trophy?
I think it was just like you get an achievement for doing the speed run.
I got an achievement or trophy for doing. Like I didn't get the fastest time, but I beat the person. I think Major Anderson or whatever, and so I got a trophy for that.
Is that what you're talking? Yeah, that's what I have. The student.
Yeah.
There must be one to get first place. There has to be. As soon as I saw it, I was like, there has to
Is that
be.
the one he's referring to?
No, because the one he's referring to, the dude did in like 37 seconds. Or the first place, something like that. And my time was like 54 seconds or something like that.
I don't see any other trophy, like for
Well, I did do that one. The one where you beat the master or whatever.
Oh, plays top 3 in the Gauntlet scoreboard. Is that what you're talking about?
That's probably it. Yeah, I didn't do that one. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
that
don't know.
fast.
Yeah, become the master 32 seconds.
Yeah, I did not do that one. I assume like doing that you're not shooting anybody, right?
I bet I'm willing to bet you have to, because typically on stuff like that, they give you like a penalty.
Gotcha.
Typically, but I don't know if that's the case.
Oh yeah, you are shooting everybody. Okay, yeah, I definitely didn't do that one. I wanted to, but I was like, yeah, I would be here all day if I had to do that. So no, I didn't. Trevor, great game, great experience.
Great game, great experience.
Okay. T, great game, great experience.
Definitely a great game, great experience.
Greg, great game, great experience.
Great game, great experience.
Yeah, this is a unanimous.
So
one.
I'm trying to remember with Syndicate, did we factor in the multiplayer?
I mean, I dug the multiplayer, and I think Greg liked it. I don't think you did, right, Trevor?
I think I like the multiplayer better than the campaign.
I know Dante didn't like the
Or
multiplayer,
something like that.
and I remember Dante didn't like the multiplayer, but I thought two of us. I thought it was 2 and 2. Like 2 people really liked the multiplayer, 2 people really liked the campaign.
Yeah, Dante said it was him that didn't like the. I guess that didn't.
Dante was only there for the Skrillex. I don't think I have anything else. Do you guys have anything else?
Good.
Nope.
I like. Would you? I guess one more question. If you're not interested or don't have like a online or whatever, Xbox Live or PSN, would you still recommend this game? And what do you think is a fair price to pay? We're talking a 6-hour multiplayer, or excuse me, 6-hour campaign. What do you think is like too much to spend if you don't have online?
I think this game regularly goes on sale for like $5, which I think is like within like a good price range to recommend to anybody. I mean, it's like campaign's only like a few hours, but like it's at least $5 worth of entertainment. You know what I mean? Like well above that, I would think. But
I personally, I agree. I definitely agree, and I do know that this is one of those games that goes on sale a lot. But if somebody is watching and they're actually interested in playing the game, and you have a PC, if you're on Origin, you can just. I bought their monthly thing where it's like $5, and I canceled it right after because I don't plan on playing much. But you can play this game and a ton of other EA games that are whatever's on that Origin list for a month. It's just like a subscription-based thing, like kind of like Xbox Game Pass or whatever. So that's how I play this game. It's well worth it to me.
Hey, we got sponsors now.
Right.
Okay, if you're gonna go that, Origin's also a piece of shit app. I hate it.
What about you, Trevor? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely worth the $5 to $10, however much it costs when it's on sale. I wouldn't recommend this game if you were only into the single-player campaign at the original MSRP, but definitely at its current price point, I could recommend this.
What did we say? How much it is right now?
it's $5. I just checked. It's $5 on It's $5 on Origin.
Yeah, I was just thinking like if it was like $20, that's too much.
Yeah,
I think so.
You do?
I think it is.
If you're not gonna play multiplayer, it's not worth
I think the
$20.
actual price of it now is $10, like on Xbox Live or whatever. I think it was reduced to $10.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, it's $20 right now on PlayStation.
Oh.
It's $20 on PlayStation, which I think is too much. Like I would say 15. I would do 15 though. I think 15 is fair. What do you guys think?
I would stick with the 10 range.
I mean, obviously, like if you had the means to $5-10, perfect. It's a good value, but I think even $15 is like it's fine. Like I think any more than that for sure, I wouldn't like. I wouldn't budge.
If I was playing them, for me personally, if I was gonna play multiplayer for more than just like an hour or two, then yeah, 15 is okay. But because I don't like the multiplayer, I wouldn't want to pay 15 for it.
Actually, you can get it pre-owned on GameStop for $10. If GameStop is still around when you hear this. All right. Well, that was all I had. Where can people find you at, Greg?
You guys can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Magnegro with a 0 instead of an O. You can find me on Twitter at BoomboxZero and on YouTube at youtube.com/C/Magnegro.
What about you, T?
You can find me on Twitch. Trevbino is my twitch.tv/Trevbino.
What you streaming?
Right now I'll be streaming Valorant and League of Legends, but it's also sometimes Rocket League.
Not with me. Or where people find you at, Trevor?
You can find me on Xbox Live, PSN, Switch, Steam, at Lyric Unsung. I'll be staying at home and playing video games.
And you can find me on, let's go with Twitter. You can find me at Potato Salad on Twitter.
Zeros.
P0Tat05ALAD. The next game is Guess Game. It's going to be the month of May, and it's going to be what's the game? Spec Ops: The Line. And then we have our list. You want to do a list for the next couple after that too?
Go
You
ahead.
guys want to just... All right. So for June, it's Greg's month, and we're playing Dishonored. For July, it's my month, and we're playing Kentucky Route Zero. And then finally, it's in August, we're playing what game, Trevor?
Asura's Wrath.
Man, you're excited. He's been trying to get that on a list for like 2 years. I feel like the very first list we ever did,
Probably.
you had that on your...
And I was reluctant
So-
to put it on there this time.
So yeah, that's look forward to that. Well, anything else? Anything else for Titanfall 2? Great game, great experience all around. You guys got anything else you gotta say? All right, well, we're Miss Checkpoints and we're out. Peace.